Hey, it's Key Creative Studio, Master Drawing Japan, and making a point to draw every day. I'm gonna talk about how to, what kind of line that you should be making when you draw. Um, I had a couple of classes this week, and I saw that my students were making a lot of like the common mistakes that many people make when they're drawing something for the first time. So sometimes when people draw, okay, first of all, like how to hold a pencil. Okay, all right. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. In a way, it doesn't really matter if you know how to make your lines properly. So it really depends. You might notice sometimes I like to draw with these very small pencils, and there's a good reason for that because it influences the way that I make my line. So generally, when you draw, all right, people for the first time, right, they're gonna hold it like the way they've been holding it virtually their entire life, like a regular like a writing instrument. And um, the, when you're drawing, we're no longer in the realm of writing anymore. When we're drawing, we're now in the realm of, I say, sculpting. So if you look at sculptors, sometimes they might be holding their, they don't necessarily hold their tools like a writing instrument, right? They hold it in a way that helps them to uh, to to form out the contours of the shapes, that they are that they're trying to create. So that's the similar kind of experience that we want. So let's say if I was going to draw a woman's head, right? So beginners will do something like this, like particularly if it's something that they're using from reference, right? They'll do like this sort of thing, right? And it's almost like they're trying to like in a weird way like trace around that form. Okay, so this is a big no. Okay, this is a very big no. So much of a no that I'm going to erase it. I'm like looking at it. Okay, it's so bad. Well, actually, no, I have to leave it here so you guys know what I'm talking about. Um, when you draw, you do not want to like eh, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth kind of thing. You don't want to do that. That takes away from your whole understanding about like what the form is. Okay. Um, what you want to do is like you want every single line to be a clear idea. Say it again. Every line is a clear idea with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So, when you draw your lines, you want to do this kind of line. Um, and it doesn't always have to be, um, you know, this kind of shape. It can be straight across. It can be an arc. It can be an S curve, but each one has a separate idea. And again, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. All right. So that broadens our scope in terms of being able to see. Okay. Um, so so if I'm gonna draw, let's say, the head, um, I want to think about the contour of the head. So I'm gonna go like that, which is kind of like I'm kind of like going over it. Now I'm doing more than one line, okay, but it's not this, right? It's not this back and forth, kind of nonsense. You want to. It's almost like if you were taking your hand and you were going over it, over that form. Okay. So now, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a little bit low here, but it doesn't matter so much. Um, now everything's a little bit more uniform than that, right? This is not perfect, but this is more of a more coherent shape, a full shape, that we can believe in. Okay, so I'll do it over here again. So we can go over that form, and you see how my arm is going. Okay, I'm drawing with my arm. Okay, aha. So I'm holding the pencil in my infamous way with my hand pointing, but my palm facing down. And I draw this way quite often, but not all the time. Okay. There are times, it just depends on what the situation for, in terms of what tools are needed for that assignment. Okay. At that particular second, I can do the same thing, holding it this way. Now, I have to admit, even though this works, this right now, this is not as so satisfying an experience for me, because when you hold the pencil like this in this position, you're really working with this fine point here. Okay, when you hold it in this position, we have, and actually this is not the best pencil example. A second. Let me get this is good. Yeah, like you want something like that. You want something like that. You want something that's going to be able to give you the widest range possible, right? That you can work with. Now, I'm not as good as my teacher Glenn Vilppu, but this is a lot better. This is a lot better. Okay. All right. All right. So what does all this mean, right? What I'm doing is I'm creating a not just lines on a paper, but I'm creating a volume. All right. I'm not gonna get into that. I think I have a video on that. I did a couple of videos on that, but when we're talking about volumes, we're talking about like a three-dimensional shape that we can believe, right? So if another approach I take towards kind of the quality of the line that I do is that I will make a sphere like that, right? And I think this is a believable volume, right? This is something we can believe that is going around like that. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll turn this into a head. So give you guys a little bit of context. Show you where I'm going with this. You see how I'm drawing, right? There's no back and forth. Everything is a sweep. It's a nice comfortable sweep. Whether I was holding it this way, right, like that. Sorry, I'll do it over here. Whether I was doing something like this, which can work. Okay. Or if I'm holding it, yes, again, like this way. Okay. All right. So that's the big thing. Oh, another thing. Okay. So if you are able to get away from the the 3 steps forward, 2 steps back approach towards drawing, if you can get away from that, all right, then you want to also get away from like the mousy steps, okay, which is, all right, you've gotten to, okay, I'm gonna go in one direction, but you go like this, And this is almost as bad. It's almost as bad as this, okay? Because you go at like little mousy steps, okay? And again, I say every line is an idea. Even this tiny little line like that is an idea. So if you're gonna do something like that, you want to have some meaning. Now it's understandable. Like, let's say I wanted to get like maybe that kind of value here, but I'm not gonna do this for the entire head, right? Or for the majority of the volume. So start with the big ideas first, right? And then like work your way down into the details later. Okay. Um, really quickly, I'm gonna turn this into a I guess a female. I guess, and since that's one of the things I like to draw quite a bit, and I can turn one out a drawing that is out pretty quickly. Okay, don't want you guys to misread what I'm saying. Okay, so even though okay now here it's understandable that there's a fair amount of detail. Sorry, of like small detail that I'm trying to get in here. So it might seem that my lines are a little bit smaller here in these parts, but the truth is, I'm I'm feeling how this is going. Okay. Again, I liken drawing more so to like sculpting. And I think if you take that approach, I mean, you don't have to draw that way if you don't want to. You can draw, um, very linear stick figures and stuff like that. That's all well and good. Um, but I think in the long run, um, there's a certain kind of gravity, that more realistic drawings have, or drawings, that have, minimal abstraction. Too much abstraction, becomes, something, not so easily interpreted sometimes. Hang on, let me get her head. Okay, there we go. So, let me wrap this up really quickly, with a little tip about how to draw hair. Okay, so another problem that people seem to have, is like how to approach drawing hair, right? Now you can see like what I did here was, I just laid down like a general, like large bunch of like large shapes here, right? I did not do like each individual hairs. I will do the general direction the hair is going. I'll do that, but it does not represent every single hair. Okay. Another thing you guys can do is, you can lay down a singular value like this. Again, Each line is an idea. I'm not going back and forth, back and forth. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. Do not do that. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm making like a mat in a way. Like if I had a board here and I just want to make like a uniform shape, then I'll do that. So you see how everything generally is going in the same direction. It's not perfect, but I'm not going back and forth. So every line is in the same direction and like working in a basic harmony with each other. All right. So that's what you want to do. When you find yourself like you're going to be like drawing hair, or at least I should say that's not, I shouldn't say that's what you want to do, but that is one way of doing it. It's one way of making it easy for yourself. Okay. Another thing, even though you might have like laid down this one flat value here, what you can do to loosen it up a little bit is that, you can add some like directional lines in there to give it a sense of flow and rhythm to it, right? You don't want it. I mean, well, maybe you do. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be like this graphic shape, you know. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you want to do like a graphic shape, that's perfectly fine. That works. That works too, actually. Okay. All right. So that's just a little demonstration, of how you can govern your lines, when you draw. Okay. Again, when you draw, try to make your line sweep. Okay. Whether you hold it like this, or you hold it like that, again, you want to sweep. You want your lines to sweep. Okay. Okay. I hope that's a little bit helpful. I'll see you guys later. Bye.